Okay guys, so in today's video we're going to talk about Carnival Cruises stock. So this is the stock that I've covered a couple of videos in the past. The most recent one I was talking basically about how the public investment fund of Saudi Arabia was buying shares and how the stock is grossly undervalued due to the whole coronavirus crisis. So I actually came across a really interesting article that I want to share with you guys that is saying Carnival Cruise Stock could be worth around $23 by 2022. So let's get right into this article, guys. So watch this video until the end because I'm going to show you guys a very useful kind of chart that you guys can use in the future, not only with stocks just like Carnival Cruise, but with other stocks to determine where you should buy and where should you sell. So be sure to watch the end of the video so I show you guys that chart at the end. So let's go right to the article. So the article was posted on SeekingAlpha, and it's a really interesting article. It basically covers everything that's been transpiring over the last couple of months with Carnival Cruise Stock. So if you guys are a little bit late to the party or you just recently bought shares, they give you a nice rundown on what's been happening. So I just want to go through it really quickly, basically summarize it. It's basically Carnival Corporation has been successfully raising liquidity from both debt and equity, and they should have enough money to get through the next 12 months, and they believe the fair value of Carnival would be $23 per share, and I think that's a nice conservative estimate, and I agree. So as you can see here, basically the stock has basically gone from $50 to $12, as you guys know. So there's been a lot of activity. A lot of you guys are wondering if you can make some money. So the share price has dropped about 75% off of its recent highs. And one of the reasons that is simply because with the government forced lockdown, cruise lines like Carnival, the Royal Caribbean, and many others have basically been forced to dock their ships so they can't take on customers. So obviously running cruises, operating cruises is how they generate money. So basically they have a pretty leveraged balance sheet, and they have around 1.34 billion on hand. This was back in February, and they have about 9 billion in long-term debt. So as we can see here, a lot of their debt is fixed to mature well into the future. So you can see here 2031, 2027, 2023. So they have a lot of time to pay these loans off, guys. So assuming that Carnival Cruises starts accepting customers, let's be conservative and say they don't really start accepting people until late 2020, early 21. They still have a lot of time until these debts mature. So as you can see here, one of the problems with Carnival Cruise is that they're not headquartered in the United States. They're actually incorporated in Panama, so they're not eligible for the CARES Act. But that's okay because they've been raising a ton of money. So as you can see here, they have been raising 6.45 billion through a lot of these notes, which are due in 2023. So they have plenty of time to pay these notes off. Okay, so they also sold 62.5 million shares at around $8 to also generate another $500. So that kind of diluted the stock a bit, but $8 I think is a very solid bottom for this stock. That was the price that these very savvy investors were willing to pay. So obviously they've done their research and they've done their models. So currently the stock is trading, as I record this video, is still trading close to that price point, and that's a huge discount anyway from what the stock was trading for around $50 a couple of months ago. So obviously the public investment fund, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, they own 8.2% of the company. And another key insider, Director Randall Weisenberg, also invested $10 million of his own money. So that is a very bullish signal there. When insiders are buying the stock, you definitely want to pay attention. So obviously cash burn has been a problem for the company, but the good thing is that they don't have to pay back a ton of this money right away. Like I mentioned, a lot of those notes are due in the future. And it says in the fiscal year 2019, Carnival had to pay around $206 million in interest expense. And in the next 12 months, they'll have to incur about $572 million from new debt, bringing the annual interest expense up to $780 million. So obviously that's going to be expensive for Carnival since they're not generating revenue, but assuming they need around, let's say around, this says 5.78 billion, assuming all of the debt repayment and potential liquidity they'll need for the next year is around 6 billion. Well, they currently have almost 8 billion in cash, and they're definitely going to be generating revenue. I've seen a lot of interest in people taking cruises as early as even June, July, and August for the summertime. So let's assume that by 2022, with everything behind us, Carnival will get to be back at least 90% on track. And that means with basically a shares outstanding of just in a billion and using a conservative multiple of 10 times earnings, that would put the stock at a fair price of $23.41. So this is all according to her calculations and things like that. So she says that by 2022, our valuation calculation estimates Carnival's fair value would be around $23 per share, 86% upside. So obviously there is a bit of a risk here, obviously, but it also says because the company has Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund as a shareholder, we believe Carnival can raise more funding if the short-term situation gets worse. The public investment fund will not let the business fail and go bankrupt. We can get back to normal by 2022. It could reach $23 per share. So guys, really interesting article. So now you guys that have been, I told you I was going to show you this interesting chart. I want to show you exactly how this kind of will show you guys exactly what to do with Carnival stock if you guys are interested in trading it. So before I show you guys that really interesting chart, I want you to take a look at the 6-month chart first so I can give you guys some perspective. So as you can see here, it seems like the price hasn't moved anywhere. So maybe some of you guys bought the stock over a month ago. You might be wondering, hey, what's going on with the price? Well, I can explain this, and I'm going to show you guys a very interesting chart that you can use to trade stocks in the future, but this is especially relevant when it comes to Carnival Cruise Stock. Okay, so what this is called the 4 stages of trading. So what this means is that most stocks in the stock market, whether it's Tesla, whether it's Carnival Cruises, many stocks follow this pattern. I've seen this pattern over and over again. So what is this called? Well, it's in 4 stages. So the first stage is accumulation. So accumulation is when people start buying the stock and the stock isn't really moving up or down. It's just flatlining. The second stage is the uptrend. So the markup. That's when the buyers rush in and then the short sellers get squeezed out and then more buying occurs and then it shoots up. So then distribution. Distribution is when there's a lot of resistance, when it seems like the stock isn't going up any higher because people are selling it. And then finally, the markdown. That's when people start taking profits and people start getting out of the stock because they get scared and things like that. And then we're back to stage 1 again. So these 4 stages, they just continue to repeat themselves over and over again because they're based on human emotions. They're based on people are scared to get into the stock and then others rush in due to being greed, and then now people are getting scared again because the prices are so high, and then they panic sell, and then it starts all over again. So if you could take a look, if you guys can visualize this chart right here, this accumulation phase, that is exactly where we are with Carnival Cruise Stock. So we're experiencing an accumulation phase. So no one really knows how long it's going to take to get to stage 2, which is the uptrend. But I think this is exactly what the author was talking about in her article. I think she thinks that Carnival stock is going to mimic the same trend, and I tend to agree with her, guys. So a couple ways you can play Carnival Corp stock. If you want to just buy the stock outright, like a lot of these insiders and directors have done, and just hold for the long term, you're probably going to do well there. But you can also buy long-term call options, guys. So I'm going to make another video on this, but buying long-term call options is an excellent strategy to profit off of situations like these. But you want to make sure you're buying calls well into the future. So I'm going to show you guys a couple examples that you can take. I'm just going to go to the options chain really quick. Okay guys, so I'm at the options chain for Carnival Corporation stock CCL. You can get this information by going to any major financial site or going to your broker like Robinhood, Fidelity, whatever you're using. So basically you want to check out the options chain. You want to change this number, which is the expiration date. This is very important for this specific strategy. You want to change it to January 21, 2022, because when you go in here by default, it's probably going to put you at the nearest one, the short-term ones. You want to avoid these short-term options because there's not enough time for that catalyst to be put back into the stock. And the catalyst that's going to be back in the stock is basically once people start taking cruises again, and this is behind us. So as long as people are talking about coronavirus, this isn't going to work. But when it's forgotten about, when there's going to be something else that is going to be on people's minds, there's going to be something else that's all over the news, and this is kind of behind us, this is the best time to play this strategy. So let's just use her conservative price target, which she set around $23 something around $23, something like that. So if you wanted to do exactly what she was saying, that you would be interested in the call options right around here. So how do call options work? Well, there's basically three simple components. You've got the expiration date, which I already explained. You want to make sure that it's long term. So 2022, it gives you the most time for this to work. And then you're going to have the strike price. So the strike price is the price that you are willing to buy the stock at. So with an option, you have the right but not the obligation to buy the stock. So if you think the stock is going to be over $20 by January 21st, 2022, then you would simply buy this option. So how does this work? The last price is $3.60, but with an option, you have to get 100 shares. So one contract is worth 100 shares. So to buy this option, you would have to spend $360. But as you can see here, there's a lot of open interest. So there are over almost 6,000 contracts open. So there's a lot of people out there that think that Carnival Cruise stock will trade over $20 by January 21st, 2022. So you simply go to your broker and you can buy one of these call options, and then you just play the waiting game. So you just need, for this instance, for this example, you just need about $360 for one contract. So let's say that this works, and let's say Carnival Cruise stock is up, let's say to $25 or $30 by January 21st, 2022, you can do two things. You can either exercise that option and buy those shares at $20, or you can sell that call option back into the market. So yeah, guys, I really want to make an in-depth video on buying call options and put options because I think it's an awesome strategy if you don't have a ton of money to invest, because if you were to control 100 shares of Carnival Cruise stock, you would have to obviously buy at market price right now, which is a lot more expensive. So if you wanted to get 100 shares right now, you would probably need around almost $1,200, but you can actually control 100 shares this way with only $360. So those are kind of the two ways that you can play it, guys. Buy the stock outright, or you wanted to buy these long-term call options way into the future. So I hope this video was really helpful for you guys, and please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. I really appreciate it, guys. It really helps more people get this content. So like I said, guys, I post videos every day on the stock market covering stocks that you guys are buying. I make videos for you guys that you are interested in. So please hit that red subscribe button below to get free updates whenever I upload a new video. It's just you can check out my latest content. So that's it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and take care.